Hi everyone, it's Adrian Leah. This is a card reading. I had like a specific dream last night, and I feel like it has to do with communication in a lot of ways. There were two specific parts of my dream, and one of them was like the window that was to like the bedroom. Lined up, there were ravens just on the windowsill. And then there was a part of the dream, like, if anybody remembers AIM and like having screen names and like using AOL, I believe that's what it was. And so a lot of times it was like mainly, well, for me it was like mainly people from my class, and then we would have our own screen names, and then it was like the messenger at the time, and I was putting like my away message on. And so like when you have your away message, it's similar to your phone right now. Like if you're driving or something, like it'll send that message out. So if someone tries to message you while you're away, that message will be their response until you say that you're back on again. And so it's just, there's another thing too about communication, because I mean I saw there was, and then the next day, like, there was supposedly a comment on one of my videos on my other channel, and I keep saying, it keeps saying that there's like a comment, but then when I click on it, there's nothing there. So I'm not sure. I don't know if like something happened to it. And then sometimes like comments get held for review, but there was nothing there for that. And um, usually with my channel, it just like pops up. I don't have it so that it gets held for review every time. So I just feel like there's just a strong, the word that I was getting like destined. So I I saw that there was a saying that, and it might be a little more straightforward, that the people are in your life for a reason, and like to focus on who's in your life and why they're in your life and like what's the purpose. And I was bringing up the other day when there were like your soul can recognize other souls and like will want to say hello or will want to have that interaction, and there seems to be like a purpose for why the other souls like on the journey with you. And there, if you believe in soul contracts, like before you get on earth, and there are certain things that you're going to learn, like they call it like school, like earth is school where you learn certain things, and that's why we come here. So if you believe in that concept, I won't try to get too eclectic with it for this reading, but I just read about stuff and I see things, and it's always nice to learn from a lot of points in life. And with the Six of Swords being the present, it just kind of reminds me of like how we are now and like the rocky journey it was to get there, especially with mental and even emotional states, because there's water there, even though it's a swords card. I feel like there's a mixture of those things and the rites of passage. I know, like, growing up, I just express things. I have felt things so deeply. Half of my chart's in Scorpio, so it's not that much of a surprise. I'm actually a Libra sun. If you're, I just said it just to say it, but well, I guess there's a method to that, but it wasn't until maybe my 20s where I really started to regulate my emotions to where, I mean, at that point I wasn't really seeing my parents, but to where I wasn't gonna get like arrested because, or like have the cops called, I mean, not necessarily arrested, because my parents couldn't control me. And I'm like, well, if you can't control me, then just like let me go. There is just a lot going on, and I feel like I have a whole book for me for the amount of times my parents called to try to control me in that way. And because it's brought up, I also feel like it might be more leaning towards the holidays too, but it's definitely in general. But when we cherish like the moments in our lives, and if you care for a person, or like there's different people in your life, to remember that they don't need to be in your life necessarily. Sometimes they are for a put in your life for specific things, but there can be other people that choose to be in your life. Because in going through the journey of like regulating my emotions, I pissed a lot of people off. I was like really shitty to people, and now I'm determined to like be a person where I want to make sure that somebody else doesn't feel like shitty because I was being an asshole to them. And of course, like, it depends on like the situation. I know like that sounds terrible, Adrian, but because I feel like it's in a way that there's the justice, or like a reason why I'm reacting a certain way. I feel like it's less explosive and more like intentional, if that makes sense. So the obstacle is the King of Swords, and the King of Swords, it seems to be more direct, and it really strips away that emotion. But since it's in the obstacle, there is like that mixture of that still, and I don't feel like there's anything wrong with it, because how to overcome the obstacle, you have the Wheel of Fortune, and clarifying with that is the Sun card. So I don't feel like it's necessarily a bad thing for the King of Swords to be in the obstacle position. I know it's like an odd thing to say, because with that archetype and being at that maybe status or age, it's something to really analyze at that point. But with Wheel of Fortune, it does feel like there is a coming and going type of energy. Like, the Wheel of Fortune isn't something that's consistent necessarily. You can think about it as like one of those water wheels, if you will, but a lot of times it's like it's a mixture of different things. Like, it kind of feels like a casino draw, or like those things that you pull and then you get different, I don't know what the method to it is, but I'm sure that there's something to it. You have the Sun card there, and it just screams that there's just like an energy of like destined, and I feel like it has to do with the dream too, and communication, and I feel like that's a strong thing, that you're not holding yourself back with just your thoughts. You're incorporating like how your heart feels. And sometimes with the King of Swords, especially in reverse, like there is it's as if like the heart was released, or the heart was never there to begin with, or it just like was taken out in some way. There's something that wasn't put in consideration, and that would be like one of the first things that like a reversed King of Swords could potentially come like experience. And in some ways that the King of Swords can be a reverse card because he or she is an obstacle, but in this I feel like it's being able to accept different aspects of you and like holding on to it and letting those things grow. There's a lot of like individuality, and I was talking about that in another reading, and I feel like one of the things that was like super important to me growing up is like I didn't want to be a bird in a cage, and it kept like repeating and repeating and repeating. Like there was this one it's like a story recap that I was listening to on YouTube, and like there was one part of it where the person, she experienced like she didn't have a lot of freedom in the last place that she was at, and she like it kept repeating bird in a cage, bird in a cage, bird in a cage. And I have grown to really appreciate birds, and I'm not going to go too much into a tangent into it because I am trying to see like how much I can have on my phone, but I do enjoy birds, and they are really affectionate. I had a pet dove, and I love that pet dove. And it was just like such a sweet animal. And then another part of it is like I would feel bad because I don't want to have like a bird in a cage, and it kept repeating bird in a cage, bird in a cage. There's that sense of freedom, allowing yourself to, if it's like individuality that you're looking for, if it's something else that you're looking for, it's not like looking for an escape route. And I think that's the importance of it. Like even if like when you try to go for it and you take a couple steps forward and a couple steps back because you're constantly, that's the type of movement of the Wheel of Fortune too, that it's okay, because there seems to be that abundance of happiness that comes out of it because you're authentic to yourself and you're authentic to like the world around you. And I feel like that's where the Sun comes in, and even the Nine of Swords that comes in for this reading. In the past, it's nice that the Death card's in the past now, because I feel like there's definitely like an acceptance and moving forward with it, because the Death card has been coming up for the past couple of readings as like one of the main energies. I do feel like I was getting like sudden changes, but there's an adaptation, or being able to adapt to the changes and not letting those things like stop you or determine the type of progress you're going to make, the type of life that you're going to live. Then in the future, you have the Hierophant. A lot of times we do lean on faith for different reasons, and especially when our life is in, or when we're in a certain position in our life, having faith in something it's really like a part of humanity, of what keeps us going. It's a part of like that creation and where we come from, and when we keep going back and back and back to who we feel like our God source is. And I won't go too deeply into religion in this reading, but even when you say, and I have said this, like, well, you keep going back and my ancestry is like just my ancestry, they did this, they did that, it is what it is. But there's just so much more to it, because we come from something that is divine, and that's what makes us divine. And so with the Hierophant, there's that sense of leading and being able to be led, because you have a shepherd on the card. And with the Six of Cups, it kind of feels like even more divinity to it too, because the story of like, with Mary and being impregnated, and it's not your usual thing that happens, but that's what the story is, and that's what religion is. You're not, 1 plus 1 isn't going to equal 2 in that case. There's just so much else that goes into it. So there were a couple points that maybe I might touch up on in this video. Maybe I won't, because it's already 15 minutes in, because I did bring up like other cards that I'll quickly run through. Because you have the Page of Pentacles, you have a couple of Pentacles here. You have the Knight of Wands that's actually linked to the Nine of Pentacles, and I feel like it's the same person, and I feel like it's not a bad thing. And I really feel that this Nine of Pentacles is trying to go and outsource, because with the Knight of Wands, it's not a usual connection, or it's not a usual thing for the Pentacles to do, especially if she or he has been doing the same thing. It's thinking outside the box. And the Page of Pentacles here, it looks like there's movement, because the Knight of Pentacles isn't here, but there's not as much movement that you really connect with that card. But Page of Pentacles looks like it's going to the job site in a way, and it kind of does what it does, and it might need some clarification. And that's why I feel that the Nine of Pentacles is going out of their way to do something else. And the Knight of Wands can be linked to goat energy, and that can be like the recklessness too. But at the same time, when you think about goats and you think about them, how they climb like these, they go to these places that other animals can't get to because of how they are, like with their hooves and their perception, like the way that their eyes are, and the way that they're sourcing certain things, like their body wants, and the way that they react to certain things, like that's specific. And that's why you can go on this journey, because it's specific to you, and that's like the capability of that goat. So while other people aren't able to go on this journey, that's when you're kind of going to be like that fill-in. And as much as it's not like the super most comfortable thing, it might be necessary. So you have 8 of Pentacles. I'm already at 17 minutes. I think I'm going to end it soon. The 8 of Pentacles, the 2 of Pentacles with the 5 of Swords, and another page, the Page of Cups. So with this, it's like, with the tool that she has, but it's not that tool. It's like almost like if you're mining for something and you're looking for something and it's not the most obvious thing, and yet there is an abundance of it with the 8 of Pentacles, because the 8 of Pentacles indicates that there is something that's already harvested. There is something that's already ready to pick or like start, or there's I was getting community, but there's also an energy of what you have, well, what you need is available to you. So it's just a matter of picking at it and trying to get to where you need to get to. You have the 5 of Swords, and as I said, the 5 of Swords and the Page of Cups. So there is that, I do feel like there is a connection, and I feel like it could be relationship or loving, and that determination, and not having no for an answer. There might be other people that try to help you with this journey. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in another video. Bye.